Well, hello. Welcome once again to yet another episode of Unzipping. If this is your first time here, this is a series of video in which I take a first look at a game that caught my eye, but for one reason or another, I hadn't had the chance to read it before. So it's pretty much like unboxing, but for PDFs. And today we are taking a look at this game that you see on your screen right now. Just let me get rid of this banner real quick. There you go. This is Deep Nightly Fathoms by an Argentinian game designer called Duamn Figueroa Rassol. Right? So I really dig this cover, and I got in touch with the author, and he agreed that we took a first look at the game. And he did warn me, though, that this was his first attempt at layout. So it could be a little rough around the edges and maybe a little not a spectacular graphic design. His words, not mine. I haven't read the book. I haven't opened it. So, but here's the warning from the author. That's his first endeavor in layout. Okay. So, as usual, we're going to start by looking at the itch page where you can find the game. If you're interested in purchasing the game, the link is down below in the description. All right. As always, this is not a review because I'm viewing it for the first time. So I'm discovering the game together with you. And I think I can provide some commentary on game design and graphic design choices. That's the things that I might be able to inform you. All right. So let's start. Here's the page. I purchased this game 290 days ago, and for one reason or another, I hadn't had a chance to look at it before. That's a thing that happens, is kind of a trend here in this series, that games that are purchased in a bundle that they're so huge, not the games, but the bundles, that I find games after a long while. So I got this on the indie bundle for Palestinian Aid, and now I'm taking a look at it. But first, let's see what the author has to say about it here on the page. So what caught my eye was this cool illustration here on the right, and a game about exploring dark, dangerous dreamscapes. This word, dreamscapes, if you know anything about the games I produce, you know that I'm fascinated with the concepts of dreaming. I have a game that you play while you're asleep, so you kind of wonder. There's also a surreal game that's based on dreams, and so this caught my eye. This is a zine, so I'm imagining this is a shorter game. Inside the zine, you find a game that will take you and your fellow players through the Kingdom of Night, a liminal space between life, dream, and death, inspired and illustrated by the beautiful art of Gustave Doré. So yeah, I read these 3 lines and I said, "Well, okay, this is something this speaks to me in many different ways." So the use of art to inspire a game. So I've mentioned before, I mainly use public domain images for my projects. So sometimes I create a game around the images I have at my disposal, not the other way around. And so, yeah, and this kind of liminal space, life, dream, death, those are all themes that I like to explore on my design. So I said, well, this sounds like a good game for me. What we have here, 1-on-1 or 2-on-1 play with expansions for larger groups. So, okay, so this is not a solo game. It's a 1-on-1 or 2-on-1. They take a transformative journey over a land of sorrow, right? That, curiously enough, has some relation to the game I'm currently designing. Let's see if there are some points in common. Rules for exploring the Kingdom of Night and confront the dangers that lurk inside, and tools to run a crawl exploration game. Oh, so probably not, but point crawl exploration game. This is a way of play that I'm familiar with the concept. I've never played. I've read quite a lot about it when it came on a blog post. I suppose there was like a series of blog posts explaining this. I can't remember uh, who wrote them, but they were very fun. So I've read a few games that use point crawl as their basis of exploration, but not a lot. So yeah, it sounds something like something I'd like to see. And random tables to roll on an adventure on the spot. Love those. Love it. Okay, so let's download this. Let's see what we have here. We have the game, a character sheet, and a Dream Master sheet. So I'm assuming this last one is the equivalent to the Game Master, right? And if I'm right, I really enjoy when games provide a kind of a sheet for the game master as well, as you can keep track of stuff. Maybe you have a summary of rules, or I don't know how to develop the aspects of the adventure. We'll take a look at it when it comes time. Right. So let's get this one. It was released a year and a half ago. 49 megabytes. Let's download it and open it. And voila. Let me see if you're seeing the same thing that I am. Yep, you are. Hi, Duamn. How are you, my friend? Glad to have you here. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. My Spanish is quite limited, I must say. So I took a chance here. I'm sorry. Okay, so as usual, the first thing we do is just a quick flip through to take a look at the the looks of the game, and then we go back and explore it page by page. Let's do it. Okay, credits index. I think we can. Does it benefit from spreads? I don't think we, we do. Okay, so we have the rules here. Saving throws, mortal coil, change, character creation. Okay, cool. Running a game, landmarks. That's character's progress. Okay, and tables, D8 tables, I am assuming, right? D88, 888. Okay. Oh, that's a lot of tables. I love that. I love random generated adventures, and the art is gorgeous indeed. We have demons and archetypes, the denizens of the kingdom of the night. Okay, so there is a point of a contact with the game I'm making. We have demons as well. There's perturbance, so I'm curious about that. This is, I think that's the same image from the cover, if I'm not mistaken. Let me see how long is the game. Just 44 pages. Okay, just analysis, modifiers, boosting the game. I don't know what you mean about the justification of the text one. They look fine to me. Oh, maybe not all the time. Yeah, maybe this. Is this what you're talking about? Except that it looks pretty clear. I mean, the layout is very direct. There is a lot of space to breathe. So nothing wrong here, my friend. And here's the character sheet. Okay. I quite like it. Very evocative. And this is the Dream Master sheet. So, oh, okay. I'm super curious about this. right? It looks like rings of how deep you are into being lost forever. And this is the points for a point crawl, maybe, or just notes. I don't know. I'm so curious about it. Okay. And that's the end of it. Cool. So I really like the general aspect of it. The art is very, very evocative of a certain feel. And you see that despite being, I'm assuming, public domain images, they relate to the chapters we're looking at. That's something I can't always accomplish when I am using public domain images. Sometimes they feel a little random, but here they feel very in place. So we're talking about perturbance. Here's perturbance, palace and palace, demons and a demon. So yeah, and those tables over those images, I think they worked really well because you could like cram the layout and put those of like two of those tables in on a single page, but it wouldn't benefit from it. And just leaving a table and the rest blank, it could be a choice, but I think that it was a very smart use of placing the tables on top of image that can actually help inform the tones and themes of that table in particular, or the kinds of adventures you have while playing the game. Don't you worry? I think so. A looming city, and bam, there's a city in the background. Lonely structure, and there is a lonely structure. Again, very clever use of images. Forgotten ruins, and there's a place of abandonment. An endless chasm. Ah, bah. Right. So the tables they split. Excellent. So shall we start from the beginning now? It's a native name and they're doing quite well. Oh, okay. Thank you. And I think I have improved somewhat. Okay, Duamn. I'm looking forward to take a look at your other games. And yeah, but man, honestly, I think your layout for this game is on point, very clear, very straightforward, and efficient, I should say. Okay, credits. Duamn Figueroa Rassol and editing by Olivia Hill. Oh, okay. Production. Well, all art is based on the works of Gustave Doré. So I'm assuming that Duamn changed a little bit, edited the images. And there is consulting by Federico Son. So Fede, all right. And promotion by Vika Rucica. Okay. Some thanks, Ludography. This game core system is based on and inspired by Luke Crane's Miseries and Misfortunes. Oh, I really dig this game. This is the one with all the social combat rules, right? If I wish I had the chance to revisit it, but it's a little too dense for the kind of things I'm consuming at the moment. But yeah, it's pretty cool. Static and Fathoms were taken from Jared Sorensen's Lacuna Part 1. Okay. Overall game mastering and The Girl from Blue City. Okay. Game mastering approach and design philosophy was influenced by Megan Vincent Baker's Apocalypse World. So we're off to a great start. Great team. Lots of great references, right? Oh, it was a kickstart. Oh, I didn't know that. Super cool. Special thanks to Trinit Knot Studio. Oh, so I'm assuming they helped you release the game. That means that if we go back to the game page, there will probably be a link for buying the physical version of it. No, there isn't. If you have one, if you want to drop me a link, I can put in the show description later. One, that'll be cool. Let's see the index. We have four clear, distinct sections. Once again, I deeply appreciate when the index gives you with a single page or 2 pages an overview what you're going to find. So we have game modes, rules, characters, and how to run the game. Very straightforward. You know what to expect. It's a game on the shorter side, so you know, on a glimpse, you pretty much know what you're going to find. So there is a little poem in the beginning. Beyond the gates of Janus, lay my restless bones, for the journey is long, yearnings leap as I roam. Would I ever find inside the palace gates a place to call home? Excellent. Duam, it's this is so funny, man. I'm literally writing a game about the last leg of your journey, going back home and facing lesser demons. Right? Curious, right? And I had never opened this PDF before in my life, so but it's a very different game, but and uses public domain images for the demons as well. Okay, so this is a role-playing game about exploring dark, dangerous dreamscapes. It's also about a game about loss, sorrow, and change. Okay, characters venture the kingdom of the night. It's a dreamscape, a liminal space, searching for something they lost. They'll find themselves or lose their identity to the lure of oblivion. Okay, so going back to the end, I remember I saw oblivion right here. So it's actually capital O, so it's a game term. There is something that might happen to your character. I'm assuming. That's all I do in this series of videos. I assume until I find the actual rule and confront my assumptions. Although the kingdom of night is oniric, the dangers are real. Okay. There are demons and the alien laws. Okay. It's a Sword Ring exploration game. I remember I read like a manifest of Sword Ring Manifest. I can't recall the major aspects of it. And it's a tribute to Gustave Doré. So you need at least 2 people, pencil and paper, character sheets, dream sheets, and the complete set of dice, the standard one. Okay. Right. So we have one-on-one play. That's the default. Okay. It's not something that we see a lot, right? Which I appreciate having the chance to have it. It's not like exactly a two-player game. It's a one-on-one, meaning there is a dream master that's like the equivalent of a game master, I'm assuming. And or two-on-one player. 2 players and a dream master. Okay. Resources becoming more scarce. Consequences are shouldered by 2 characters. Okay. Now, if 4 more players, things change. 2 players who play regular characters. The third will embody the demons. Oh, okay. So we have the most of two players with regular characters, and the rest like take turns playing demons. So you increase the number on the game master side instead of the player side. Oh, very interesting. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that before. Dig it. Quite dig it. Let me see. Yeah, I mean, Trinity Knot Studio knocked it out of the park doing that because yeah, I have the same problem as you. I'm from Brazil. We do not have access to Kickstarter. So yeah, if we want to do one, we need a partner. That's why I was happy and surprised to see that you actually managed to pull it off. Yeah, pretty cool of their part. And so I'm assuming you don't have more physical copies, but you can always print and play. I always encourage people to print my games and play at home. Okay, so this is the mode of play. Very interesting stuff from the get-go, like having more people sharing the NPC, so to speak, or the enemies. Right, now the rules. Dream Master, usual stuff, describe the scenes, narrate the players narrate the actions, a conversation. That's pretty much the philosophy of Powered by the Apocalypse games, right? And then the spark of conflict will eventually light. Then you reach for the dice. How do we roll dice? Okay. Two forms. The character takes action, or the Dream Master surprises with an unforeseen threat. Okay. Players, describe what you do, what you intend, and how you do it, pretty much. Dream Masters, when to call for a roll. Okay. And then, if you know the situation, the stakes, you know what kind of roll to ask. It's either an attribute test or a saving throw. Right. If one of the attributes apply, take a d6 and use the corresponding attribute rating. Character succeeds on a result equal to or lower than their rating. Okay, so we have we didn't get to the character creation part. So I'm assuming here we have varying stats from, I don't know, 1 to 6, 2 to 6, and you have to roll a d6, roll under. And if it's a saving throw, you take a d20 and check the saving throw. If you roll over, oh, okay. So there are two completely different ways of rolling. If you are doing a saving throw, or if you're doing like a standard action, right? D6 roll under, or D20 roll over. This is from Mysteries and Misfortunes. I don't remember. Or is this a particular design here by Duamn? I'm not sure. And after rolling, checks the result and describes. Okay. So attributes are right here. That's the explanation. As I said, I assume, and then I check my assumptions. If your character is at attributes 2, 6, you must roll a result of 2 or lower on the 6. Okay. Yeah, makes sense. It's kind of a, there is a, in old D&D versions and some retro clones that use that for anything else that is not attributes, like 1 out of 6, 2 out of 6. And some circumstance can modify your rating. Follow the die chain to apply modifiers. Oh, okay. Attributes are 1 and 5 over a d6. As players add bonuses, when a rating reaches 6, 6, it jumps to the next die type. Okay, I think I've read this on Mysteries and Misfortunes. So 5, 6 jumps to 7, 8, 7, 8 to 9, 10. Yeah, that's this chain that when you're like too good for a die, that would mean you get a success every time. You just jump to the next higher die on the chain. Or you can get a penalty. When you get a penalty, you don't change the die type. You just change, like 9 out of 10 would be 5 out of 10 if you have a -4 penalty. Yeah. Clear. If a penalty would reduce your rating to 0, do not downstep the die. Even then, you will roll 1. Okay, so you have 1 out of whatever the die you were rolling, I'm assuming. And you do jump from 11 out of 12 to 19 out of 20, which is quite a large jump in statistically. Yep, indeed. So now, characters count with 3 attributes: impetus, insight, and inertia. I love alliterations on game terms. Whenever I have the chance to do that, I try to. I think one of the implementations of the Lumen system is like focus, force, and something else. 3 Fs I really dig. I don't know. It gives a feeling that the things belong to the same group. It's not always easy, and it certainly not works 100% all the time. But here it looks like it does. Impetus, when you're using physical change. Okay, if it drops to 0, you become a ghost. Insight, understanding. If it drops to 0, you become headless. Oh, okay. Inertia is to traverse across the fathoms. If your inertia drops to 0, you turn into a serpent. Okay, this is more esoteric of the 3, for sure. Very interesting. You turn into a serpent with inertia to traverse across the fathoms, like meaning that you have to be in constant movement or staying in the same place. I don't know. We'll find out. Attributes change. How? During the Force of the Kingdom of the Nights, delving deeper. If you get to 0, you undergo a transformation. You need to rest in a palace. Okay, there's a chapter about palaces later on. Consorting with the demons might help, but at what cost? Okay. When you cross a threshold into a new fathom, their attributes change. You update your character sheet accordingly. If the attributes were modified, reset at the new value. So they change, they don't necessarily increase. Curious about if there is some sort of character advancement. It doesn't look like a game that characters get better, since it's a game about sorrow, about it's a game about change. That's a point, about loss, sorrow, and change. So it looks to me that's more like a horizontal development of your character instead of vertical one. You have like to embrace the fact that for each leg of your journey, your character will change, which I think it's pretty cool. Let's see how that works. Saving throws, I think that's a very standard thing from RPGs, but I might be mistaken. You usually avoid impending change. Okay, not a consequence. So those changes can be unintended at best and deadly at worst. Okay, so change here, considering a broader scope that includes you being harmed, I'm assuming. There's a target number that you have to surpass, depending on the kind of change you want to avoid. If you're versus maiming, transformation, and polymorph, to be scarred physically or damaged. So yeah, there you go. Harmed is one of the options. Versus doubt or a loss of sense of self. if you're trying to avoid losing your identity or overwhelmed by emotion or deceived. Okay. And physical overpowering and domination to avoid getting hurt. Okay. So there's a change between transformation and damage and hurt or restrained by an external force. Very cool. So the concept of saving throw, that is avoiding something to happen to your character, is standard, and it's reproduced here with a d20 roll, which is kind of traditional. But the way it phrases the things that you avoid for your character here, they show the kind of game you're getting into, right? So it's a game about change, and you have kind of a tool to avoid unwanted change. But kinds of changes we're talking about here are very specific and are very evocative of the themes that one is trying to infer or to show to us, right? You can choose to fail if you don't want to try a saving throw. Your saving throws change when you cross a threshold. Very curious to see how they do it. Now, success and failure. What does that mean? Succeeding a role, you accomplish your intent. Now, if you fail, it's open to the Dream Master to introduce a new complication or transformation and inform you that your character needs to change their approach if you want to accomplish the same intent. Okay, so you can't try doing the same thing twice using the same approach. Okay? After a roll, they introduce a new situation. Okay. There are no rules for characters to help each other. This is a journey you experience on their own. Okay. If you're together, choose one. Who's the best for this task? And the result of the roll affects all characters. Sounds good to me. Yeah, I like simplified aiding mechanisms. And it makes sense that this is a journey that you have to experience on your own. And the transformations you go through, they look very personal, the way your character changes. So it makes sense that to each their own, right? Mortal coil, that's the life force. The characters brought from the wake, that's their mortality. And how much of it they can keep before slipping into oblivion. So, okay, this is the mechanic that shows how you kind of lose your character, I'm assuming. So you're going into a deeper fathom. I think there's those circles that we saw on the dream sheet. The Dream Master will roll how much mortal coil they are able to hold. You can sacrifice points of mortal coil to reroll a failed test or a check. Okay. You get bonuses. All right. Up to plus 20 bonuses, but you are giving like a fourth reroll. Right. Characters cannot cross the fathoms without straining the threads that bind them to the waking world. Okay, so as you go, as you spend this, you're like forcing your connection to the mortal realm. And by that, doing so, you risk slipping into oblivion, right? The Dream Master keeps score of the mortal coil. After you spend your last point, you roll a d8 on the drain table. That's right here, right next to us. If you roll a 1, you drift to the edge of oblivion. You can snap out of it or become lost forever with a saving throw. Oh, very cool. Okay. So the thing is, players don't know how much mortal coil they have left. It's always a gamble, I'm assuming, right? The Dream Master keeps score. of the pool. Okay, so you're kind of gambling and adding rerolls, but you don't know how close you're getting to the edge of the oblivion, right? Yeah, that's an interesting choice. Certainly, it takes away a little bit of a player agency in the sense that they're not in control of how to spend the resource they have. But I think it is evocative of a certain style of play or a certain theme. In the end, it's like us living our lives without knowing how many days we have left to live and how much we are betting on the here and now and not knowing how long we will last. So yeah, I can see the value of holding this information hidden. It's kind of cool. I'm in my head now. I'm trying to do a solo version of these rules because I love solo RPGs, and I think it will be like maybe a bag full of tokens that you don't know. You draw from another bag that's full of tokens. You draw a random number, like I don't know, 10, but there are two colors, and just so you have 10 tokens, but you don't know how many of those tokens are actually valid, and the others one you have to discard. And then so you every time you use one, you grab from the bag, and then when you run out of the right color, I don't know, just spitballing here because yeah, I'm looking at this game and I think it could work really well played solo since we have that many tables on the end. But this dynamic of having an information that you have to keep hidden from the other players has to have some sort of adaptation. But yeah, anyways, okay. So if you roll eight, you endure. If you roll one, you can lose yourself forever, and you can lose impetus. You can lose insight. You can lose inertia. If the character survives, push forward. They regain mortal coil as they venture forth. Okay, so risky. Cool. Change is not bad. Okay, your character will change. That's part of the game, after all, right? Unintended change can be scary. Permanent change can be very scary, but your character will change nevertheless, and that's okay. Change might mean victory or defeat, but never let it become something to dread, for it is the nature of the game. I think this is good to be very, very clear about, right? If a player comes to this game from an assumption of different ones, and then that you get, you create your character the way you want, and you get attached to the way the character is, you don't want them to change over time, or at least don't have control over those changes. So it's very important to have this as a sort of disclaimer and like embrace it because this is actually part of the game, right? Change. Artemisa might find a true self by taking the head of the Minotaur King and wearing it as a crown. Might have to sacrifice their eyes to find the starlit names that open the gates of Vienna's. Titus might dive too deep and lose himself to oblivion, never to be seen again. Cool. Those names are from mythology. I suck at historical or mythological references. So my apologies if those are. So this is a call for Dream Masters not to frame failed rolls as a way to punish the characters and take the results of the die graciously. Okay. They will never stay the perfect state we pictured in our heads. Okay. They were meant to twist and turn. So very interesting choice of image right next to this sentence. Cool. Safe play. All right. Important. Okay. Find safety tools that fit your playstyle. Shared responsibility, it is indeed. Check if everyone feels comfortable. Preparing your roles an ideal moment to check in. Reframe, drop, or roll back. Okay, oh, good point. Yeah, yeah. Because there is this brief moment when narration stops and we are about to actually see the consequences of an action or of an event that happens to the character. So it makes sense to stop at this moment and say, "Hey, are we cool with the things? How things are going?" Yeah. So safety tools might fail. Create an environment. Okay, that's a very good page of for safe play. Very nice. After the session, debrief. Okay. As players, you face the Kingdom Night together. Important. It's a dense game in its themes. Now, okay, finally, character creation. I was dying to see how we do this. Okay, identity, a name, an attitude, a physical description. Okay, so it's like a broad concept. Leave some blank space. You think okay, your perception of your character will change during play. Agreed. Star. Okay. Star is the reason that brought your character to the Kingdom Night. Okay. Are you questing for a lost love, an ancient memory, a forgotten relic, an everlasting truth? It's the compass that points the way and the drive that pushes them forward. Right. Like the major motivation of your character. Okay. Talk to your group about it. The Dream Master will string traces of their star across the fathoms and dot the trail with obstacles to keep them from reaching it. Okay, so you have like a MacGuffin, something in the end of your journey that you were expecting to achieve, and it's the job of the Dream Master, as any good storyteller also does, is to put obstacles in the middle, right? If your character faces their destiny, reaches for their star, and returns from the deep, you win the game. Okay, so that's cool. I like when the unapologetically RPGs state a winning condition, right? I think it's kind of cool. Yeah. Oh, there is no winning in RPGs, but there may be. There you go. You win the game. Now the ratings with a pencil, yeah, because they're going to change a lot. Start with the rating on the left, and you change from left to right as you dive. You lose all your attributes if you fall to oblivion. And then from the right to left the moment you return. Okay, if you go deep, you go this way, and oh, right. Oh, so there's not a very standard progression here. And I don't know what that means. Oh, and you see this inertia goes down and this one goes up and there's a huge jump here. So this is set. Okay, I like it. I don't need a choice. I just have a starting number that will change over play. Also for saving throws. So 14, 11, 14. And you see they go like down, down, and up again. This one goes up and this one goes down. This is not by accident, I'm sure. You see, doubt and a lost sense of self. As you go deeper, of course, it becomes more difficult to stay in control of yourself, right? On the other hand, transformation and polymorph, as you go deeper, maybe you learn more about how to avoid this, or you get more resilient, right? About the transformation. Now, physical overpowering, maybe you're getting tired, but then you kind of rest and recover. That's the kind of narrative arc that those attributes are speaking through this selection of numbers, I'm guessing, right? Like your inertia goes down, your insight goes up, like you're kind of understanding things better. And this one, that's the what was it called again? There's no explanation here, right? Is there? Okay, the attributes are explained back there. All right. Traverse across the fathoms. You turn into a serpent if it drops to zero. So your ability to do so, to traverse across the fathoms, will decrease because you have to roll under. Pretty cool. You see, by the choice of giving like standard numbers, a standard progression, and choosing these ups and downs, the designer here is communicating the kind of changes or narrative progression this game is expected to emulate, right? Very cool. An artifact, something your character carries close to their heart. It can be from the wake or the first thing you picked up in the Kingdom Night, as long as it's important. Short description: you will be acquiring and losing artifacts along the way. Okay, I'm wondering if they have a mechanical impact. Now you review your character sheet and start. Okay, character creation is quite straightforward. I think the hardest part is identity and star, I am assuming, because since you don't have like a list to pick from, some players might feel a little lost in the beginning. But yeah, as soon as you have a concept for a character, you just mark the starting of the chain of attributes and saving throws, create an artifact, and off you go. Cool. Like the Dream Master sheet to map the way. Okay, so those dots can help you like map the point crawling, I'm assuming. Track perturbance, and mortal coil. We don't know what perturbance is yet. Okay. Two approaches to start. Atmospheric. Start with the game when the characters pass over the borders, asking characters descriptions. So yeah, setting the mood first, like giving colors and like starting slow. And in media res, they are in the middle of a tense situation, and the whole group will start gathering the berries in motion, and then you ask retroactive questions. Dot the environment with the consequence of past actions. Okay, so this is cool, right? Two very different and very valid ways to start the adventure. So this Kingdom Nights, a liminal space where the memories of the lost reside, scatter across. Okay, it's full of creatures and devoid of life. For the demons that dwell here are not of flesh, but of thought. Oh, okay, okay. It has kind of a biosphere, like a valley. Okay, so this draws, I think, direct inspiration from the art of the game, right? Valleys, it explains slope in a concentric circles around the black hole of oblivion. Ah, voila, that's the explanation for those circles that we saw on the dream sheet. So now they go through these phantoms by charting the landmarks that dot the land. To reach a landmark, you have to do an inertia roll. So you have a narrowing number of landmarks in the inner fathoms because things kind of fade at the edges of oblivion. So you start with 2 4 landmarks on the hold, Two, three in the whale, two, and one on two. Okay, so things are getting more scarce as you approach this black hole. There are some landmarks that are sitting between the fathoms. There are thresholds guarded by powerful archetypes. That's obstacles. Okay. The characters cannot cross a threshold before spending a certain amount of mortal coil. Okay. As indicated under the fathom's name. All right. Okay, this is interesting. So you're stuck into like one segment of those circles and you cannot cross it without paying with mortal coil. And crossing a threshold also adds a number of perturbance points. Okay, so here are the six fathoms. The wake is the real world. The hold, there is a threshold of 0. You roll 2d2 mortal coil and add 1 perturbance. Okay, so each one of them gives you exactly how many mortal coil, or how much, I would say, I don't know, mortal coil you add to the total, and how much perturbance you add to the total as well. One is a roll, the other is a straight plus number. The hold, and there is a short description for each of one. Okay, the whale is a cool name. Closes like a cyclopean beast devouring the sun. All the descriptions are so rich and evocative, right? They really drag you in together with the art to this kind of this kind of world, and the use of this kind of black and white, but there's a fade of blue on top of it, gives this kind of dreamlike landscape feel. Okay, now returning. If a character reaches for their star and embarks on their journey back, add 1 mortal coil and 1 perturbance per fathom crossed. Okay, so the way back is different. So you kind of, you're, the point of the game is you walk around this land trying to reach your goal, your motivation, which is called a star. When you do so, you take your way back and then you move your attributes and saving throws the other way. And when you reach the threshold of oblivion, the void takes notice. Now you can actively pursue them. There are no barriers between them and their doom. Okay. We're gonna see more about that in the future. Landmarks. So those are the milestones. I think that brings the kind of point crawl aspect to the game. You can prepare some landmarks beforehand. And now this is where the tables come. Okay. Oh, this is very clever. I think we can have, from the amount of tables we can have here, we have like endless combinations to play. Every time you play, they will show a kind of night kingdom. Oh, what's the name again? Kingdom of Night. Completely different. Like you see, like you find the forgotten ruins of a shipwrecked vessel that is taken by a powerful beast. Oh, I love this so much. I want to do one more. Let's see. You find the rough features of a wild, eight, a wild valley that is cast by ominous clouds and inhabited by the melody of pan flutes and singing, I'm assuming. Wow, right? Each one of them like splits into different tables that give you a lot of possible combinations. I would, my style of play, I would never ever roll this beforehand. I want to be as surprised as the players. That's why I like to play emergent narrative games or solo games that I want to be surprised. And these tables are very well written, leading an endless chasm leading to a labyrinthine network of tunnels and caverns. Those are all very flavorful, very colorful as well. I dig it. Now, the other part, besides the demons and the landmarks, we have demons and archetypes. What are those? I'm gonna read archetypes first. Are the demons that hold the kingdom of night together at the face of oblivion. Ah, okay. Unknown lords of the deeps, of the deep, creatures of power and gravitas. Okay, so demons. General term. They're mercurial, changing from one emotion to the next on a whim. Okay. They know of truths we cannot comprehend, and in their wisdom sound mysterious, opaque, and arcane. Okay. Is there any guidance on how to play those guys? Oh, there you go. Playing demons. Every demon has an urge that defines them. They're like stars. It's a drive. They don't have attributes. Okay, there's some mechanical stuff, but I'm more interested in like those 5 points that they say they're deceitful and manipulative. They resent intruders. They're bound to laws completely alien to the laws of nature or man. This is so flavorful, and I think I would like have to keep those 5 things at hand at all times to try and embody a demon every time I have to like role play them, right? Because it's so unhuman, and it's easy maybe to when you start talking as a demon to default to the standards of human behavior, right? And but as you read those 5, I actually would love to have like maybe some conversational prompts, things that derive from these 5 aspects of the demon, those demeanors, and like have tables to improv conversations and mannerisms and responses, right? Those are very, very flavorful. So the archetypes are the big guys. You assign one to a landmark. It's their domain now. Okay. If you go head to head against one, you mark 1 perturbance, all right? You can put modifiers for the archetypes. Okay. Artifacts, continuation. Okay. They have power. Okay. You can take stuff from your journey. How to use them? Is a treasure, a relic, a boon, granted by or taken from an archetype, a personal object, a newfound aspect. Okay, so they have to be meaningful, not just like a memento or something. And they give, if you use it, you can get bonus to your roll. Okay, it's very straightforward. They don't have like a special singular effects that you have to come up with. But if you like introduce them into the narration of the action you're taking, there's your bonus. Now, perturbance. I have a hard time pronouncing this word. Perturbance. Okay, this is the representation of the kingdom of the night, pushing them away or towards the oblivion. They don't like you are here. So either get out or get inside. If you confront a demon claiming an artifact, fail a roll, or cross a threshold, the perturbance increases. And what does that mean? When you mark it, introduce a new event befalling the characters. The level of perturbance will inform its severity. Oh, I see. So, okay, you go doing these things and you disturb the kingdom, right? Confronting demons and taking stuff and doing bad things, crossing thresholds. So the kingdom responds back and will be as severe depending on the level of perturbance. I am assuming there will be, okay, there you go. A table of reference, low, high. Let's see, the high. Demons start chasing the characters away. Okay. Oblivion advances inexorably and the climate turns ominous. There are four of each. Yeah, you can roll a d4. I would. You can tailor those events. Okay. Now palaces. Those are refugees. Okay, that's why you could recover stuff here, right? You can outsmart a demon, claim its domain. Not any hiding hole counts as a palace. Okay. You claim that a place is a palace, and the Dream Master must offer it as such. Okay. What's the benefit? They're safe from the hostilities of the environment, of the common demons, not the archetypized nor the oblivion. You kind of recover a little bit and reduce perturbance. Okay, so it's very important. Now, I wonder what kind of criteria does the Dream Master has to offer the option for the players to declare a place as a palace. If you outsmart a demon, yeah, I think it can derive from the characters actually doing something meaningful, like defeating an important obstacle or something like that, or outsmarting the challenges. You can extend the benefits if you risk a saving throw. Okay. If you fail, there might be consequences. A character can only hold one palace. There can only be one palace in any given fathom. Okay. For the demons to stalk the land and are quick to occupy it once abandoned. All right. So that's yet another reason for you to keep track of your journey using the dream sheet, right? Because okay, I have a palace there. You can like go back and remember that your character changes if you do so. Very clever. So yeah, it's not like resting and recovering. You actually have to claim a place here, a refugee. I really dig it. Super cool. Okay. Right. Consequences. The reason to roll dice. No two rolls are alike. Okay. Okay. Some kind of Dream Master advice on how to when and how to roll. And there is when a character fails, choose one of those. This sounds like GM moves or lists of complications. I really like them because from my experience, that's when GMing, you have to improvise consequences at all times. It can be taxing, or you can fall in those same pits that the cliches that you are most comfortable with. So having a clear set of things that you can do here, like GM moves, it's super helpful for my experience at least. Mark from 1 to 4 perturbance points as you choose, right? Reduce attributes. Okay. Characters have a high chance of failure. The reason is adventure is defined by unexpected situations. Success can be surprising, but it's always driven by intent. Failure, on the other hand, is unexpected. Okay, makes sense. Since you don't need to use failure as a way to like grind your characters on a meat grinder, you can like introduce complications and deepen the storyline. Yeah, I can agree with that. Now, successes. How to introduce the outcome. The obstacle, okay, avoid impending danger, discover using for information, future bonuses, yeah, get an artifact, access to a palace. Okay, very clever. Avoid meaningless rules, okay, remind players of their star, yeah. How a test drives them closer to it. And don't hesitate on going back after asking for a roll. This is important. It's a single line, but I can't stress this enough. You don't have to be right at all times, and maybe you call for a roll and you say, hey, you know what, never mind, I don't think that's meaningful, let's not roll. You can go back. It is a game. Modifiers, harsh conditions, penalties, okay. The description can give you an edge, bonus and penalties. And there's also mortal coil as an option. Letting go, the hardest bargain. If a character ever finds their star but decides to leave it behind, they get a bonus to their next roll equal to the level of fathoms they're abandoning their star on. I could use an example here. So I think depends on how deep you are within those circles, that translates into the bonus you get to your next roll. And now you like forsaken your objective. You can offer this bargain after the dice are rolled. Okay, so this leads to the like a very dramatic choice that I'm assuming would be made towards the end of the adventure, right? Interesting. Okay, now stringing a star. What does that mean? So that's your motivator. Okay, okay. Resolving the pursuit of a star is the end of the game. Okay. Don't we have to go back after we got the star? Okay, you accomplish this by placing stars under the seal at the edge of oblivion and dropping breadcrumbs of their location throughout the fathoms. Okay. Clues to introduce in at least one landmark of every fathom. Okay, this is a job that the GM has. So I always, the thing that when I try to see this game being played solo, it's not just because I like solo games, but it's a kind of mindset that I have for game design that if I remove the game master as a technology, which is a brain, a human brain capable of coming up with those things, how can the game, how could the game provide those things, right? That's why I think designing with a GM-less mindset, even if the game has a GM, can be helpful, because then you kind of use this mindset to offer tools for the game master. Like I could use maybe tables for this, for like clues, like or maybe mechanize after a roll, like here on the rows of success. You could like clearly inform a clue about your star is revealed or something like that. Just remember that each success propels the character forward on their journey toward the star. So there you go. I think regardless of the choice you have here on success, you as the dream master, you have to remember to keep the star in mind. That's the adventure. Think of clues to introduce at least one landmark and hints to that clue and dangers that lurk in the way. That's the adventure. Okay, so this is a very well framed adventure structure. It's a single paragraph, but it's the gist of it, right? You have a thing that you want, you spread clues around, and you give hints to it, and then you put a lot of blocks and obstacles in the middle. Bam, voila. If you're improvising the session, oh, there you go. Rely heavily on the character's actions and player's intent to learn how they want to pursue their stars. So this conversation has to be constant. Like I would, as a dream master, ask, how does this action help you get closer to your star? Or, okay, you found something here that is meaningful to your objective. What is it? Like this back and forth. Nice. Losing the game. How do you lose? Okay, so there's losing and winning. Love it. Love ending conditions, like straightforward, open, overt calling to ending conditions in games. How do you lose? If all attributes are reduced to zero, you can become trapped, captured, or stranded, driven by demons, back to the wake, or you fall to oblivion. Losing is not bad. It's just the end of a doomed enterprise. Hey, yeah, if I would play this game, I think like falling into oblivion would be a very satisfying ending, story-wise, right? It's material for a good story, nevertheless. Winning the game. On one way to win the game. You get to the edge of oblivion, reach for their star, and return to the wake to win the game. I'm thinking, how do we play out this return? I think it's shorter, right? Like the in-game duration of this part, because you kind of reach the goal, but it's also a part of the hero's journey, right? That's returning changed after change. But I wouldn't see myself like setting demons in front. Maybe there is a kind of metaphorical, literal chase. Once you have what you want, like the kingdom is after you. Reminisce on the hardships of your journey. Look back at the diminishing kingdom of night. Rejoice and celebrate, for today oblivion awaits. Very poetic writing. I can't achieve. It's a goal of mine to like better my writing so I can express myself as well as this. Well done. And there we have it. Okay, so yeah, character sheets, very clear. Now it makes sense, the attributes and saving throws, right? The artifacts. And then the oblivion. And those numbers now are clear. Are they? Yeah. Threshold 0, that's the cost in Mortal Coil. And this is the perturbance that we have to add. And the names. Oh, and also how much we add from Mortal Coil. Yeah. Now that you read the rules, this is a quick reference guide for you to quickly find. Okay. And that's it. Trinity Knot Studio. Zine Quest, okay, was part of the Zine Quest. And Murder Hobo, I think that's the studio. Right? It's the name of the studio. Duamn Studio. Okay, so there we go. There you have it. This is Deep Nightly Fathoms. Very cool. So yeah, what we had as promise. One-on-one play with expansion, a transformative journey, yes. Over a land of sorrow makes sense. Confront the dangers, tools to run a point crawl exploration game. Random assortment of random tables, love those. I think my favorite part of the game. It gives the landmarks a lot of flavor, right? Very well done, delivers what is promised, and yeah, I dig it. I really like it. So if you want to get this game, it is available on itch. Ending conditions are extremely important for games and often ignored in the TTRPGs. I agree, absolutely. So yeah, here is the link. This is the link where you can find the game, but you can simply click on the description if you want to support Duan and his creations. Saw the game. I dig it. I really like it. And if you liked what I did here, consider subscribing and sharing this video around. I plan to keep doing this because I have the chance to spotlight indie creators as well as I have the chance to read new games, get some more inspiration. So it's a win-win situation. You can support me on Coffee if you want to, and you can also buy my games at Itch as well. All those links are on the description if you want to. And thanks for following along. It's been a pleasure. And I hope to see you soon with another game. So for today, thank you very much and bye bye.